What's up, everybody? You are very welcome along to today's late night agenda. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping first before we get started, because I've noticed a couple of people in the chat getting a little bit lippy all of a sudden because I'm a minute and a half late. Imagine me being a minute and a half late, phase. Imagine me being a minute and a half late. And how about understanding that I've got a family, mate? I've got a life. And do you know what the problem was? The problem was the jersey. The problem was the green screen and the jersey, because the green on the collar wasn't working with the green screen background. That's the reason why it was delayed, my friends, and that's the reason why I came on a little bit late. So I'm sorry if a minute and a half is too long for you, but I got there in the end, so I did my best, ladies and gentlemen. I did my best. Anyway, loads to get through tonight, my friends. I do appreciate you being with us, so thank you so much for that. Jurgen Klopp and the Reds touched down in Austria today for the beginning of a pre-season training camp. The original plan had been to return to Evian, where the squad had visited over the previous 2 years, but new government guidelines about isolation and stuff like that meant that they had to they had to shelve those plans and go with plan B. They did have a list of alternatives A, B, C and D. As things stand, the Reds currently have no plans for any pre-season friendlies, but of course that could change and we could see a scenario where we play somebody like Blackburn Rovers again, somebody a little bit closer or within 50 miles of Liverpool, behind closed doors, something like that. So the only thing that the Reds do have for certain is the Community Shield on August the 29th against Arsenal at Wembley. So there you go. Better late than never, mate, said Stephen Smith. There you go, Stephen. That's the attitude, buddy. Well in. And look, I know a lot of you guys will have one eye on what's going on in the Manchester City game. I do have it on in the background, so I will let you guys know what's going on. There was no way on earth I was doing a watch along of it though, because let's be honest about it, none of us really give a shit about City that much. So if they get to a semi-final, then maybe we'll do a watch along. But after that, who gives a shit? Right, look, ladies and gentlemen, I want to start off as well by saying congratulations to Kloppo on being named Premier League Manager of the Season. I don't think anybody, whether you're a Liverpool fan or not, could begrudge Kloppo that award. And also a happy 27th birthday today to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Love the guy. I mean, I know that sometimes he's been a bit injury prone, and I know that sometimes he doesn't have the impact that we'd like him to have, but I have to say I'm a fan of Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I love all of the media stuff that he does. I love him on the pitch, and I think he does give Liverpool something a little bit different. So happy birthday to Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. I can see loads of people already talk about Thiago. I'll get there. But I do have an agenda to get through, ladies and gentlemen. Do you know what I mean? Nothing wrong with a little bit of foreplay here. Do you know, this would be good for your advice for later life. I am getting to Thiago, and I have quite a bit on Thiago to talk about tonight, my friends. So don't worry about that. But you wouldn't respect me if I just went straight into it, would you? Would you? Nah. Anyway, as you can see, I'm rocking the brand new Liverpool shirt. This is the stadium version, so this is the cheapy version. This is the regular version. I've gone for the Club World Cup badge on mine and the Champions League badges on the arms, as you can see. And it is nice. I have to say, I was a little bit worried about whether they would be good quality or not. But as much as I love New Balance, and I did love New Balance, I have to say, I would say that the Nike kits are worth the money and that they are are they worth the money? I would say they feel better standard than the New Balance kits. Let me put it that way. Right, look, I'm not going to keep you any longer, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to get on to transfer talk now, and I have a lot to get through. But before I do, Uwara's amazing. Somebody else said, hello, mate, love the shirt. Said London Liver 96. Cheers from Cancun, Mexico, says Jonathan. I don't know if you're on your jolly bobs, mate, or if you're lucky enough to live in Cancun. But either way, I'm mad jealous, and I'm not even going to lie about it. What else we got? Is Thiago coming to Liverpool? Said Daniel. Bear with me a minute, Daniel. I will get on to that next. I do promise you. Your shirt looks great. Can't wait to get mine, said Yusuf. Thank you, buddy. I ordered the away one as well. I'm not going to bother with the third kit because it's not my cup of tea. But yeah, I am going to enjoy it. Craig, what's up? Can you say Theo is taller than Nickman? Theo's defo taller than Nickman. Definitely. I mean, I've no doubts about that, mate. Theo, here. Nickman, here. No doubts about it. Craig, imagine if we played Barcelona, what we could have done to them. Look, yeah, let's just take a quick second before we move on to talk about Thiago and stuff to just give compliments to Bayern Munich for that absolute destruction of Barcelona last night. Like 8-2, 10 goals, madness, absolute madness. So congratulations to them, and it's going to take one hell of a team to stop them from winning the Champions League this season. Joanne said 199 super sticker for an unboxing. Thank you, Joanne. Appreciate that. Right, look, here we go. Transfer talk, ladies and gentlemen. Let's start off, of course, with Thiago. And before we get on to the real journalism around the potential transfer of Thiago, let's have a little chat about what Steve Nicol of ESPN had to say in a segment that I'm going to call the latest shite out of Steve Nicol's gob. That's what I'm going to call this section. So Steve Nicol reckons that Thiago doesn't really fit the mould of a Liverpool player. That's not all, folks. I wish that was it, but no, it's not. He even gets more absurd. He suggests that he'd be a decent player to use in the domestic cups and give him a half an hour to pass the ball around. Now, I don't know on what planet Steve Nicol is looking at with regards to Thiago, but Thiago would complement and fit in and suit pretty much any top side in world football. So I very much disagree with what Steve Nicol has to say. Steve Nicol, as a former player for Liverpool, nothing but the highest of respect for. Steve Nicol, as a pundit, not got much time for, if I'm being honest with it. Now, the real journalism, as I like to call it, around Thiago is that we actually, the ones that we want to be paying some attention to. In recent days, we've been telling you guys about the likes of Fabrizio Romano and Christian Falk, who've been adamant in our interest in Thiago. Well, that's gone up a little notch today, ladies and gentlemen, with RMC Sport, who come from France. You can add them to the list. They've come out and reiterated that he will leave Bayern and that we're the most likely destination when he does leave. I don't want to count my chickens here and say that he's coming to Liverpool, but as each day goes by, I'm getting more and more and more convinced that this is actually going to happen. I don't know if there is any correlation between the Gini Wijnaldum situation and Thiago, but there's one really interesting fact that I want to bring to you guys, and this is what the Fabinho element of the stream is about, because I'm sure a lot of you guys are wondering what the hell's going on with Fabinho. Why is he on the thumbnail? Well, bear with me. I read an article, a very good article by the way, on Liverpool.com that really got me thinking into the idea of us signing Thiago and the potential of it happening. And as I say that, Lyon have just gone 1-0 up against Manchester City. So, apologies if Connor's cutting this later on. But yeah, Lyon have just gone 1-0 up against Manchester City. So, I'm going to react to this. Sorry, Connor, you're going to have to cut this up, mate. I'll give you a new segment into Thiago. But yeah, I'm just waiting to see if this goal stands. But as it is, it's 1-0. The referee's waiting. VAR is being checked. I just have to see this live, ladies and gentlemen. Let's just see if it's okay, if it is all onside. Looks good to me. Looks good. I think this one's going to stand. Don't worry, Connor. I'll read you the whole segment just to give you a cutting point, mate. To cut that out for a clip. I'm just waiting on this one. It looks like this one's going to stand, folks. We're waiting for the referee to point to the halfway line. I don't know why it's taken so long. He looks like he was clearly onside. It was great finish. The referee says goal. 1-0 to Lyon. Right, I'm going to go back to transfer talk and do it again. So, transfer talk, ladies and gentlemen. Before we get into the real journalism, I want to talk about a little section that I'm going to call the latest nonsense come out of Stevie Nicol's gob. Stevie Nicol reckons that Thiago doesn't fit the mould of a Liverpool player, and that's not all, folks. He even goes on to say that he might be okay in the domestic cup games. Give him half an hour to pass the ball around. I don't know what Stevie Nicol's thinking, but I massively disagree with him. I usually disagree with Stevie Nicol on most things, to be fair. Now, the real journalism around Thiago. See, even when I try and do it right, I do it wrong. Is that we've been talking to you guys about Fabrizio Romano, Christian Falk, and other people who are adamant about our interest in Thiago. Now we can add RMC Sport to that list, and they've come out and reiterated that he does want to leave Bayern, he will leave Bayern, and that his favourite destination is Liverpool Football Club. I don't want to count my chickens on this one, but the more I think about it, and as each day goes by, the more I'm thinking that, you know what, this is going to happen. So I'm going to say to myself that I believe that Thiago will join Liverpool. I don't want you guys to go around or to say that I said Thiago's nailed on to join Liverpool. This is just my opinion from everything that I've read and I continue to read I firmly believe that we will find the money and a way. And I'm going to lead into how that way might be possible now in a second, which is why Fabinho is on the thumbnail. So, as I was just about to say a few moments ago, I read an article, a really good article, on Liverpool.com that got me thinking into the potential idea of us landing Thiago. And if money is an issue, well, there could be a way of sorting that out without really having to put our hands in our pockets too much. The article suggested that Jurgen Klopp could pull a bit of a masterstroke and save the club millions in the short term. Now, how would he do that, I hear you guys asking? Not by not buying a centre-back and by buying Thiago. Now, bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. I know you're probably thinking, what's this bald idiot talking about? But bear with me. If we buy Thiago and run short of cover at centre-back, because we would just have Virgil van Dijk, Joe Gomez and Joe Matip as 3 senior centre-backs, and we need at least 4. Everybody knows that. If we do run short at centre-back and we need cover, then we can just drop Fabinho back. And Fabinho can cover in the centre-back role, and we can play Thiago or Jordan Henderson in that 6 role for those games. It might sound a little bit absurd, but Jurgen Klopp has actually already done this on, I think, 3 occasions, using Fabinho as an out-and-out centre-back. And we do know Fabinho can play right-back. We know that from his days at Monaco and early on in his career at Real Madrid as well. But I don't know, the more I got thinking about that one, folks, the more I think it actually might make some sense. Because we know that we have a solid first choice 3. We know that anybody coming in is probably going to be a 4th choice centre-back, which is what Dejan Lovren was. So I started thinking to myself, could this be actually right? Could they be spot on the money about this? And look, Liverpool.com writes some very good articles. They've got some very good journalists on there, and I often read the site because to me it's one of the better ones out there. So when I read this, I thought there might be actually something to this, and also there's more of a bonus to it. If we were to use Fabinho in a centre-back position, if we needed him, there's also the fact that that would allow Sepp van den Berg and Kylian Hoover another year to develop before we'd potentially have to push them into the senior team and give them a regular starting berth. So I want to know what you guys think about this. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think that I've lost my mind here? Or do you think that it's something worth giving a try to, particularly if it helps us financially land Thiago, who Bayern Munich want around €30 million for? So for me, I can see Thiago coming. I believe Thiago will come, but I'm not saying that it's nailed on, and I'm not saying that I've got any inside information on it. I'm just going off my gut feeling and all the articles that I've been reading about it. So let me know in the comment section what you guys think around my idea about Fabinho dropping back. Well, I say my idea that I gathered from the article, and what you guys think about the situation with Thiago. Right, over to the comment section now. Rodder said, I'm not really a fan of that. I can understand it, mate. I can understand why you wouldn't be as well. I mean, it's not the ideal scenario. But what we could do, as I said, is it would allow Kylian Hoover and Sepp van den Berg to get some game time. And if we really needed to, we still have Nat Phillips, who's on loan as well. We could, well, he's back at this stage. We could give him an opportunity as well as 4th choice centre-back. Alfie said, yes, I literally thought of this today. So Alfie's on board. Good man, Alfie. Your thoughts on Man United? I don't really have too many thoughts on Manchester United, Zombie Angel. I try not to think about them as much as possible. Rackshit said we also have Sepp van den Berg. Yeah, I spoke about that a few minutes ago, mate. And that would buy another year for Sepp van den Berg to develop his game. So it might sound like a little bit of an off-the-wall idea, but you know what? I don't think it's as mad as it first sounded. Andrew Reid said, Fabinho, great idea, makes so much sense. Thank you, Craig, said Arv of Nigeria. Hey, my pleasure, man. And as I said, if you want some more good information, and I've got no affiliation with Liverpool.com. In fact, the guys don't even know me, I think, at Liverpool.com. But that's why I read the article to put this idea in my head. And as I started to piece it together and think about Sepp van den Berg and think about Kylian Hoover and think about the fact that we only really need a 4th choice centre-back, it started to make more and more sense to me. Habiber said, Craig, is that the Vapor Nick kit or the normal one? The normal one. I refuse to pay the price of the expensive shirt. Somebody actually said to me earlier on, did you get one of the influencer shirts sent to you? And I just laughed out loud. I wish I was at the level where Nike or Liverpool were sending me out shirts for free. But no, I paid this one like anybody else. I bought one for me and one for my son. Right, so David Newell said, even if Fabinho couldn't play there, I still think we could get away without buying a centre-back for at least this season anyway. Lemmy from Hamburg said, I hope we get him, but I don't think so. It's a great idea, said Rackshit. Great idea, I could see that working, said Daniel Rickards. Aouar should be our target, not Thiago. This man looks insane and he's 8 years younger. Now, that's from Keita is the next Iniesta. Now, I want to talk about Houssem Aouar as well, because there's no denying the fact that Liverpool have been linked to Houssem Aouar. We spoke about this on a few occasions on the channel. We spoke about the fact that David Maddox said that he was on the list of players that Liverpool were looking at, and that Lyon could be in a bit of financial trouble. This may be one of those transfers. If we were to push ahead and try and get Houssem Aouar, we would definitely be trying to get him on the cheap, and it would definitely be something that we'd be doing later on in the window when the pressure starts to mount on Lyon. It's important to remember here that 1, the window doesn't close until October, and 2, that Lyon's president Jean-Michel Aulas is a very difficult negotiator, as we found out on many occasions. Obviously the last time was around Fekir, and that didn't work out for actually nothing to do with the president of Lyon, to be fair. I think it was more to do with the medical, at least that's what we were led to believe. But I wouldn't rule out us maybe looking at Houssem Aouar. And I've got more transfer gossip to go through, by the way. That was just the start of it. That was just the stuff around Thiago. I want to move on to Sarr next, because the latest with regards to him is that Watford believed that they could command a transfer fee of around £40 million for Sarr. Now, some people might think that's an off-the-wall valuation. Some people think that he might be available on the cheap because Watford got relegated. It's important to remember that Watford only paid, or last summer paid something like 25-30 million from Ron to bring him in. So that was his value before he had an impressive season in the Premier League. So I honestly think a valuation of £40 million isn't unreasonable from Watford's side. Now, do I fully expect Michael Edwards to try and get it cheaper? Of course I do. That's what Michael Edwards does, and he does it better than most people. But I think it's realistic, and anywhere between 30 and 40 million for me would be a reasonable amount to pay for Sarr. And again, we point out the obvious facts that he's very close with Sadio Mane, both Senegalese international teammates. He looks up to Sadio Mane, and Sadio could definitely help transition this one. And I'm sure it would be nice for Sadio to have an international teammate at the club as well. And it is someone that would be within our price range. It would be a real FSG type signing, somebody who could be got for a mid-level fee and could be turned into a world beater in 3 or 4 years under the tutelage of Jurgen Klopp, Pep and Linders and the rest of the coaching staff. So I think that there's a lot of legs to this Sarr thing. And if I was to look at the transfers for the summer, we know we signed Kostas Tsimikas recently to have backup for Robbo. That was badly needed. We know we need another forward. I'm going to move on to talk about Rhian Brewster in a second. But to me, Sarr would definitely fit the mould. Again, I want to know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'm going to go into the live chat in a second as well to see how you guys feel about it. Also, to me, this feels like a Jurgen Klopp type signing, much like when he got Sadio Mane. I think he'd probably look at Sarr and think there's a lot of raw talent and ability there, and Jurgen Klopp will be able to harness that and turn the guy into a superstar. So, again, one worth keeping an eye on, and one that I don't think will drag on potentially as long as the likes of a potential deal for Houssem Aouar and stuff like that. Now I'm going to talk about one outgoing, and which one will I start with? Let's start with Rhian Brewster. So Rhian Brewster wants to stay at Anfield next season and fight for his place. In a quote from the Beautiful Game podcast, the young Liverpool striker said, "I want to be at LFC next season. I want to be fighting for a spot to play. Who's not going to want to play at the home of the champions?" And that's exactly what I want to hear from Rhian Brewster. He's backing himself. He's backing his ability. I'd wondered if we were going to send him out on loan for the season. But again, I'm going to move on to why Rhian might stay, and that will be Divock Origi potentially leaving, so strap yourselves in. I'll be talking about that one in a second. I want to know your thoughts on whether you'd like Rhian Brewster to stay or whether you think he'd be worth going out on loan for another season. Now, that does bring me back around to two more players who, one is going to be leaving Liverpool, but albeit only on the short term, and two, one who may leave Liverpool. So the one who is going to be leaving Liverpool, and this came via James Pearce not too long ago actually on Twitter. He confirmed that young Reds left back Adam Lewis, who recently signed a long-term contract at the club, is set to join French side Amiens on a season-long loan. It'll be a good chance for Adam Lewis to go out, get some game time, get some experience, and which You know, it's really common for Liverpool to give the young lads an extended contract before they send them out on loan. We've seen it so many times. We've seen it with Marco Grujic before he went back out on loan to Hertha Berlin, and we see it time and time again. Liverpool tie the young lads down to new contracts before they send them out on loan. And I know from what I've read, and I know from people who've spoken to coaches at Liverpool, that they really do rate Adam Lewis as a prospect. Now, just because we brought in Kostas Tsimikas and we have Andy Robertson there, doesn't mean that there isn't potentially a future for Adam Lewis at Liverpool Football Club. And if there's not, if Klopp decides that there is the future from at least going out and getting game time like that in France, will increase his value and his experience for any potential suitors that might look to come in and take him down the line. Now, then we have a little sip before I move on to Divock Origi. One more thing actually on these Nike shirts is the material just feels so much more sturdy and solid, and like it would wash and wear better. And as I said, this is only the what do they call it, the stadium version. Well, I like to call it the cheapy version or the fan version. And it feels really, really rugged. Like, it feels like you know you're wearing something. And the crisscross on the back of the collar was something that I was worried about, but I have to say, it's really comfortable when you have it on. So I absolutely recommend, if you're on the fence about buying the Liverpool home kit, you've got my recommendation on it anyway. I think it's a fantastic jersey. Fits well, even on my fat ass. And it looks well on most people that I've seen wearing it as well. And some of you were kind enough on Instagram to give me a bit of a nudge and a wink and say, oh, I thought that was Thiago after signing there for a second. So thank you for the kind lies. I do appreciate them. Now, Divock Origi, ladies and gentlemen. The Mirror believe that Aston Villa are considering making a move for the Reds forward as they look to strengthen their attack ahead of the new campaign. But that's not all. There's another club that's also been linked to Divock Origi lately, and that's Serie A side Lazio. So it's widely known that they're going to be looking for an attacker to replace Felipe Caicedo, who's going to be moving on. And it is important to note here that Lazio have recently had a bid turned down for Braga striker Paulinho, but Origi is certainly on their list of potential additions. There's no mention of a potential transfer fee here, or what Liverpool would want, or an amount that Villa will be willing to pay. But what we do know is that Villa are going to want to spend some money to make sure that they're not going to be in another relegation battle next season like they were this season, and if they move massive goals for the Reds like against Newcastle and Everton. So this links back to Rhian Brewster and what I was talking about. I'd like Rhian Brewster to stay if we move on Divock Origi, and I'd still like us to go out there and get Sarr, because that would give us options of basically Takumi Minamino, Rhian Brewster, and Sarr as cover for the front three. And then we still have Harvey Elliott, who, it's important to remember, is only 17 years of age. So I don't want to put too much pressure on Elliott, because he is somebody who's going to be around for the next 7, 8, 9, maybe even 10 years at Liverpool Football Club. He is a Red through and through. He's a fan of the club, so I don't want to put too much pressure on him by including him in the list. But that would give us 2 people to play in each of the forward positions. So I want to know what you guys think. What do you want to happen with Rhian Brewster? Would you be happy? Would you be happy if the club sold Divock Origi if it was to help fund somebody like Sarr or maybe Houssem Aouar, who we spoke about earlier on? Let me know your thoughts. Keegan said the shirt looks great, mate. Yeah, you never know, said Dave Smith. Does the kit run small? I'm in the USA and like to buy one, but not sure what size. I usually wear a large. Anyone know? Well, I wear extra large, and it fits me a little bit better than the New Balance extra large. So what I would say is they don't run small. They are pretty true to size. If anything, I'd say there's even a little bit more given them than there is in the New Balance shirt. So I would say go with the large. If you're usually a large, I would say go with the large. Connor's put a link in the chat there to our Instagram account if anybody wants to give us a follow. We're quickly closing in on 20,000 followers on Instagram, which is amazing. You guys have given us unbelievable support since we've started becoming active on there. We've had an Instagram account for, I don't know, a couple of years, but we've only really been active on there over the last 2 or 3 months, and it's grown really quickly. I think we're very close to 18k at the minute. So if you're on Instagram, you want to give us a follow at Anfield Agenda, and the same on Twitter as well. Right, let me see. I think I've got one more thing to talk about, and then I'm going to go into your comments for the rest of the stream, ladies and gentlemen. It was a nice bit of banter from Mohamed Salah towards Degsy Lovren. I'm sure you guys probably seen it on Instagram. He posted an image of Kostas Tsimikas and tagged Dejan Lovren, writing the words, "You aren't missed." So we could have a new budding bromance on our hands here, ladies and gentlemen. I know everybody wondered what would happen after Degsy left with regards to who's going to get the coffee in for Mo and who's he going to be palling around of world football hero Mohamed Salah. So Degsy, you're not being missed, fella. You're not being missed. That's all I have for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with regards to news and stuff like that. But I want to know what you think. Somebody else said looks like crap. Fair enough. You're either not a Liverpool fan or you don't like me, but either way, I think the shirt's lovely. Leeds also want Divock Origi, said Rodders. I've not seen any links to that myself, Rodders, but then again, there's loads of sites that I haven't got around to reading yet, so if we can add Leeds to the list of potential clubs that want Divock, then maybe that makes it a little bit more likely he does move on. My main account messages just go into thin air, so I'm on my second account, said Bob the Chicken. What's your main account, mate? I mean, I don't know what your main account is and what the thin air is. I mean, if you write them and they don't show up, it could be because that account is banned for some reason. Luke said, I don't think that we should sell Origi. I think what's this one? What about Harry Wilson? It's a fair question, Sarah, and one that I'm going to stick to my guns and what I've always said. I think if a right offer comes in for Harry Wilson, Liverpool will sell him. If they don't get the money that they want for him, then they are willing to evaluate the situation, whether that be sending him out on loan or whether that be something like maybe, I don't know, keeping him at the club and seeing if he can slot in for some cup games and stuff like that. But to me, I don't see Harry Wilson making it at Liverpool, and I think if a reasonable offer comes in, Liverpool will sell him. I just don't see that he's the quality that we need. I know people will point to his set piece ability and some of the worldies that he scored, but I'll point to the fact that when Bournemouth were fighting relegation, he wasn't really getting a start, and that's the bottom end of the Premier League. Liverpool Football Club are right up at the peak of the Premier League. In fact, you might not know this, but we're fucking champions, you know, Premier League champions, and I just don't see Wilson making it, and that's just my opinion on it. And same with Ben Woodburn, I don't see him making it either. Although he has had didn't he have another loan somewhere else recently? I've forgotten who it is too, but I just don't see either of those two making it, if I'm being honest with you. But then again, what does my opinion matter? It's Jurgen Klopp's opinion that matters. We need Origi for Everton, said Shanzo the man. It's a fair point. It's a fair point. I'll never forget that moment. Never. I almost even remember the exact words I said. It's something like Klopp was on the pitch. Alisson's giving it the big, and it was fucking amazing. Absolutely unbelievable. I'll never forget that game as long as I live. That late Divock Origi goal. Van Dijk turning his back after the sliced volley. Brilliant. We'd still lose Sarr at the AFCON like we miss Mane, so why buy Sarr? Well, we are talking about a tournament, mate, that is at least, 18 months away, roughly, because the AFCON has been moved to 2022. It won't be taking place in 2021, so I don't know. I don't know what the situation would be then, but we are talking 18 months away, so I'm sure we'd have maybe Rhian Brewster at that point. We could have Harvey Elliott after breaking through 18 months down the line. So we will have more options. So I do get you, because we would be losing potentially 3 of our front players to the AFCON. And I don't know what the situation is with Guinea and Naby Keita. I don't know if Guinea look like they're going to qualify, have qualified or haven't qualified. But I get where you're coming from. But I wouldn't let that guide us on not signing him, to be honest with you. I like Brewster, but I love Origi, said Shanzo the man. Sell Origi, said oh boy nothing. Origi needs to move on and we need to as well. Bring in some more quality, said Cameron. Sell Origi, said Keita's next Iniesta. We should swap Grujic. Where's this one gone? Somebody said we should swap Grujic and 20 million for War. That's from Claire. That's a fair shout, Claire. It's a fair shout. I mean, there were many clubs around Europe that would like to bring in Marco Grujic, I can tell you that. So that could be a fair point. Grujic was training with the team. Well, he will be. He'll be given pre-season anyway until a move is either sorted out, or maybe he'll be part of our midfield options for next season. I mean, I think Kloppo's going to give all the players at least pre-season. As I said, they touched on down in that training camp in Austria today after the one in Evian was cancelled because of the government's guidelines. Origi is great at staying calm in intense situations, said Bob the Chicken. I cannot deny some of the massive moments that Divock Origi has had for Liverpool. And as I said to you guys before, I really, really like Divock Origi. I just feel if the offer comes in, it can help us push on. And I think Origi is never going to be a nailed-on starter at Liverpool. But he is a good impact sub. I will give him that one. I just don't know if he's going to be happy with that his entire career. Although he did say recently that he wouldn't mind being a backup player. So again, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. What's the Thiago news? Sorry I'm late, said Tactics Master. Don't worry, I'll flip back around and I'll go through it again in a couple of seconds. Don't worry about it. Build Origi a stand, said Chris. Origi's taken up a squad place, said Stephen Smith. Now, while we're talking about Origi here and some people are talking about moving him on, it is important to remember that he showed some loyalty to Liverpool recently by signing a new contract when he could have left the club for free. So if we are going to sell him, I think it's reasonable that we don't ask the sun, moon and stars to stop him getting a potential move that he'd like, because he did show us some loyalty. So I know football is a ruthless business, but I do think our club do things in a different way, and Divock showing us that loyalty. I think if we wanted, let's say, throwing a random number out there, but let's say 30 million quid for Divock, and a bid came in for 25 to a club he really wanted to go to, I'd like to think that the club would do the right thing and let Divock get the move that he'd want. Sell Shaqiri, Grujic and Wilson. I'm on board for all of that, Alfie. I would have liked to have seen Grujic stay, but the more I think about it and the more I see the potential deal for Thiago shaping up, I just don't see where there's going to be an opportunity for Grujic to sell there. But Shaqiri is somebody who it seems to have gone a little bit quiet on lately. Of all the players, he would have been the one that I would have said was nailed on at the start of this summer to leave Liverpool, and I still think that he will. I spoke to you guys recently about the fact that his representatives were apparently in talks with a Turkish club. If my memory's right, it was Fenerbahce, but don't quote me on that one. It could have been Besiktas or another Turkish club, and they were offering him around 35k a week, and I think he was looking for somewhere around 50 grand a week. So he seems to be open to leaving, and I don't think it's any doubt that he's not on top of Jurgen Klopp's list. And he gets injured too often for my liking as well. He can bring certain things to a game. I'm not saying that he's shite or anything like that. I just don't think, again, that he's a Liverpool quality player. He was worth the punt from Stoke with the relegation clause, but I think we can all say it hasn't really worked out for Shaqiri at Liverpool. So let's try and put together, before we finish up tonight's stream, let's try and put together a list of Liverpool players that we think might move on and some realistic figures for those players. So I'll let you guys run this. So I'm going to name a player and you guys see what you think this player will bring in, and we'll see what Liverpool may potentially be able to raise this summer with regards to incoming. So let me just open up the L calculator. So let's start off with Shaqiri. While we're talking about Shaqiri, what price do you guys think Liverpool could command if we were to move on Jadon Shaqiri to wherever it might be? Give us a price in the chat there that you think he could go for, and we'll try and get an average price and then move on to the next player. Now, I'm going to need you guys to type quickly here, so just put in numbers. No need to put in exact, whether it's pounds or euros or whatever, just throw in numbers. Rodgers reckons Wilson's 20 million. We'll get on to him in a second. Right, so Shaqiri, here come the numbers. 15, 25, 15, 18, 15, 25, 20, 15, 20, 32, 15, 20, 12, 15, 15 to 20. Right, is it fair to say from the chat that the most popular number there is somewhere between 15 and 18 million? So let's call it 17. Let's go with 17 million for Shaqiri. Now we'll move on to the next player. Connor's gone for 20, but we all know Connor's a little bit greedy. Let's move on now to talk about Harry Wilson. If Liverpool were to move Harry Wilson on, how much do you think we could command for Harry Wilson? Personally, my guess would be somewhere between 12 and 15. I think that you could get that for Harry Wilson because he has got Premier League experience. So Harry Wilson being the next player, let me know what you think. So just to let me know that we're doing the right thing here, stick a W beside the figure that you're putting in, and we'll try and add all this up and see what we could potentially bring in transfers. Nat said Thiago is Liverpool's final piece. I would say second last piece. I still think we need another attacker. Right, so Wilson 15 to 20, 15, 8 million for Harry. Connor's going for 20, Kisser's going for 20, 12, 8, 15. Alexander's going for 28, Ben's going for 14, 12 million for Dara Azizi. 22, 15, 15, 25, 10, 12 to 18. Wilson 20 for Connor. Right, let's go greedy and let's go again for the higher end of that. So let's go somewhere around. I'm just looking through. I'm trying to get a rough average of your prices. I think let's go for about 18 million. So let's go for 18 million on Wilson. That seems to be between 15 and 25 seems to be kind of what you guys are going. And I'm trying to be realistic and go on the lower end of it. So that's 35 million that Liverpool could potentially bring in. Now, who else have we got to talk about that could be going out? Divock Origi. Now, so put a D beside your figure for this one. Let me know what you think Divock Origi would be worth, ladies and gentlemen. I think myself, Divock Origi somewhere, I think 25 to 30 million in this market's not unreasonable for Divock Origi, allowing for the loyalty that he's shown the club. So, again, throw a D beside this one for me just to let me know you're talking about Big Div. It is mad that there's so much common thought with regards to transfer fees. I'm genuinely impressed that we're all on the same wavelength. So, Connor's going 25 for Divock, 25 mil for David Newell, 30 for HKM. 999 mil for Prez Salah, nice one, mate. Ali Dennis has gone for 32, 25. Liz has gone for 20. What else we got? 25 to 30, 30, 23, 25. Who else we got? Alara's gone for 18 for Divock. Keegan's gone for 25 to 30, 25, 23, 25. 40 million from Clifford. 23. Rob's gone for 16 for Divock. Right, so what am I going to go with here? What do you think is a reasonable amount? Let's go with... Again, I'm trying to go in the lower ends just so we don't come up with a figure that seems absolutely out of this world at the end. Let's go 27. 27? That seems about reasonable for where you guys are. So plus 27. Right. Who else have we got? The goalkeeper situation. We know we're going to be moving on Loris Karius. So, Loris Karius, I don't think we even need to argue about this one because the figure that seems to be mentioned for Karius is about 6 million. And that seems to be pretty standard across the board. So, we'll add on another 6 million for Karius. So, who have we moved on so far? Wilson, Grujic, Origi, Shaqiri, Wilson, Origi, and Karius. So who am I missing out on here? Shaqiri, Wilson, Origi, Karius. Grujic. We need a figure now for Marco Grujic. I'm going to go somewhere around 15 million. So let's be realistic about this. This has got 15 mil. So, right. The figure that I'm at here, if we moved on those 5 players, and there could be a few more fringe players, and there could be a little bit more money on top of that, but we've brought in around 85 million quid there with the figures that we were speaking about, folks. So if those were to come in, it's not as simple as Liverpool getting 85 million and then having all that to spend, because you've got agents' fees, loyalty bonuses, and loads of stuff like that. So let's say Liverpool, and we kind of broke even with the money for Dejan Lovren. He went out and we got Costas Tsimikas for roughly the same money. So, feels like we could be working with around 80 million if we worked and sold all those players and brought in some fringe players and blah, blah, blah. So, let's say drop that down to 70 with fees and stuff. That would cover us the likes of a Sarr and maybe a Thiago. So the 2 players could be gotten if we move on a few fringe players, and that's without Liverpool really having to spend some money. Now, there was some good news for the football club that came the other day when it was known, or being made known, that Liverpool will receive the full £175 million prize money from winning the Premier League. It was thought that some of that prize money might be temporarily withheld, but Liverpool will receive the full amount. So that's a nice little addition to the coffers of Jurgen Klopp, Michael Edwards, FSG, and the rest of the crew at Liverpool. So we have got some money coming in, and yes, we don't know when fans will be back inside stadiums. None of us can sit here and say with any certainty, 1, when the government will allow fans back in, and 2, what percentage of the stadium will be allowed to be filled, because this is an evolving situation. It's moving quickly and it changes quickly. So, if you make plans, that they can be altered very, very quickly. You could have some regional lockdowns and stuff like that. So the club still can't really plan with any certainty around ticket sales and stuff like that. But Another bit of good news for the club recently is the demand for the Nike kits. It looks like that we could bring in somewhere around 80 million quid this year from our partnership with Nike. We're guaranteed 30 million, we know that. And we know that Liverpool get 20% of any Nike Liverpool crossover merchandise. And it's looking from the sales that they're going to break New Balance's record of home shirt sales for the last 2 years, which is a tremendous achievement, even at the prices that the shirts are, and even with a lot of people in financial uncertainty at the moment. So Liverpool do have ways of bringing in revenue streams. So I think this might be a bit brighter of a summer than we had originally thought earlier on. I think it was right for the club to take their time to look at the situation, to take stock of everything, and not just go around spending money like a drunken sailor. But I do think we will see some business this summer, but we may have to be patient for some of it. The likes of Sarr, the likes of maybe Husimawar, stuff like that. And Thiago, nothing there is going to happen until Bayern are finished in the Champions League. Whether they go on to win it or they're knocked out in the semi-finals, nothing is going to happen. And it's only right that nothing happens, because his full focus needs to be with his teammates, with Bayern Munich, to get over the line and to see how far they can get in the Champions League. So that's pretty much where I am tonight, ladies and gentlemen, with the news that I have. Somebody said we spent 11 million on Tsimikas. We did. Tuna, but see, John West, I told you I'd remember. I'm going to keep calling you Tuna. I hope you don't mind that, by the way, because it's only meant as a term of endearment. We did, but we got the money for Dejan Lovren, so that was pretty much scratch there on what we spent on Tsimikas. Claire said I would like Aouar. I think we wouldn't mind Aouar. I'd be in the camp that would like Aouar as well. Keegan Murphy said, do we think the shirt is a bit copy and paste? That's a good topic to finish up on tonight, Keegan. One of the fears that we all had as Liverpool fans, and thank you for raising that, Keegan, was that we didn't want Nike Liverpool shirts to be a copy and paste. Now, what we've seen before is Adidas and Nike, they have copied and pasted shirts. And look, this is a copy and paste shirt. I'm not going to lie. You can look at this and you can look at it against the Barcelona away shirt and a few other shirts, and look, it is the same pattern. And Connor had even said to me that the Nike Liverpool away shirt is also very similar to the Chelsea shirt with regards to the round neck and with regards to the collar and the cuffs and stuff like that. Although the pattern might be different on the shirt, it does seem like some of that copy and paste, if you want to call it that, comes to fruition. Now, when I spoke yesterday about the guy from the head of Nike's football apparel, he was saying that they wanted to play it a little bit safer with the home shirt because they wanted to be respectful to the club and to not go off the walls completely with our home shirt. And look, I love the home shirt. I think they've done a really, really good job. The only part I don't like is the difference between the regular shirt and the what do they call it, the vapor shirt that has the pattern on it. The regular shirt doesn't have that knitted pattern that you get on the vapor shirt, so that I don't like. But apart from that, I'm pretty happy. But what do you guys think? Do you like it? Do you think they're copy and paste shirts? Stephen Smith said they were always going to do it. Someone else said, is it true that Messi's coming to Anfield? Certainly not to join Liverpool, mate. Do you think Liverpool need transfers as the team is basically perfect? Yes, you should always be looking to improve, mate, even from a position of strength which we are currently in. Craig, who you got on the back? Nobody. I didn't get anybody on the back of my shirt. I just went with the Champions League badges, mate, and for the away shirt I got nothing. I just got the shirt. Bernadette said, my heart wants to say it's superior, but my head says it's not good enough. Upamecano and VVD, just imagine, said Alfie Morris. That's an A shirt, said A Nurse. I love the home shirt, said Louis. Why don't we go for Dembele? Which Dembele are we talking about here? Ousmane Dembele or the Dembele from Lyon? I like the teal, said Lara. I like the darker red, said Marshy. Look, I was a fan of New Balance Liverpool shirts. I've always said that. I think they did a great job, particularly with the likes of the blackout shirt and stuff. The only thing that's annoying me about the Nike stuff is the price of some of the training gear and stuff. There's a hoodie on there that I really like the look of, a grey hoodie. I'm sure you guys know the one I'm talking about. But when I went on to look at it, it was 120 quid for a hoodie. 120 quid. That just seems a bit greedy for my taste, I have to say. Right, I did promise somebody that I'd recap the Thiago news, before we finished up because there was a lot of people coming in late. So I am a man of my word, so I will have a little look at the Thiago news again. Before I do so, just a little bit of housekeeping, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see from our pinned tweet at the top of the chat, we do have some Anfield Agenda merchandise that we released lately, namely a brilliant new t-shirt and a couple of mugs as well. The t-shirt is available in black, it's available in red, and it's available in the classic version and the premium version. So if you want to have a look, click on the link there at the top of the chat. That'll bring you directly to our Teespring store. You can have a little look around and see if you like the few bits of merch that we have put out. To those that have bought it, thank you very much, and the feedback that we've been getting has been really good. I even bought one for Connor, and Connor bought one for himself, or I bought one for myself and Connor bought one for himself, and we both really think that they're pretty good material actually, and they're pretty good quality. So please do check that out, and mostly if you are enjoying the stream, hit the subscribe button. That's the thing that I probably haven't mentioned enough on the stream tonight. Please hit that subscribe button because we want to grow. We want to go past 50k, but as always, we need your support to get there. So look, let's move on. Thiago, I told you the stuff about Steve Nicol. Steve Nicol basically said that he doesn't think Thiago is a good fit for Liverpool. He might be somebody who we can play in domestic cup games and somebody who can pass the ball around for 30 minutes. Let's move on past that nonsense. Then we spoke about the fact that Fabrizio Romano and Christian Falk in particular, very, very close to the Bayern Munich camp, have been adamant that Liverpool are interested in Thiago and that Bayern Munich are willing to do business at the €30 million mark, which equates to somewhere around £17 million, something like that. Connor has just stuck the mug up there as well now as a pinned message at the top of the chat board if you want to have a look at that as well. The other thing that I went on to talk about Thiago, and this is what makes it really interesting for me, is Liverpool.com had a really good article suggesting that we could drop Fabinho back. We might not even buy another centre-back if we just use Fabinho as an auxiliary centre-back as and when we need him for the upcoming season. That would allow us maybe free up funds for Thiago and allow Thiago to play in the 6 if we needed to drop Fabinho back to play as a centre-back. And of course we've got Henderson who can play in the 6 as well. It also allows time for Sepp Vandenberg and Kylian Hoover to develop. My gut feeling on Thiago is that it will happen. That's my gut feeling, and that has changed because a week ago I was more negative about it, but the more I read it, the really reliable journalists like Fabrizio Romano and stuff think this one's going to happen, so I think it's going to happen as well. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there for tonight. Thank you very much for being with me. I'll be back tomorrow. We're going to be doing a watch along at the United Sevilla semi-final of the Europa League, so I hope that you can join us for that one. I'm doing it on the hope that United get knocked out and we can all sit here and have a bit of fun laughing at them. But if United win, look, we'll just have to take our lumps, I suppose, won't we? I hope you can join us for that one. We're going to be starting that stream at about 7:30. Really appreciate you giving up your time. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Lots of love to each and every one of you. Stay safe, be well, and as always, I appreciate the shit out of you guys for being here with us. Lots of love to you. Hit that subscribe button, and I will talk to you wonderful people tomorrow. Up the Reds.